Hi, good afternoon. Here I am. This is Marianne again from Wow Women of Worth. Good afternoon, Katie. How are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
Very, very well. It's been busy, busy day, back to back with the live interviews.
Yeah.
Having good time indeed. So, where are you now?
I'm in Brighton in the south coast of England.
Ah, you live there?
Yeah, it's gorgeous here when it's not raining.
Yeah, yeah. Long time I've been there. So yeah, summer is fantastic. The London by the Sea, they call it, doesn't they?
Yeah, it's the
Don't they?
place for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very excited, Katie, to talk with you because you do something very, very special, which is, I think, the most of women and people, generally speaking, they aim to and wish to, because being on stage, being able to express ourselves and make people dream about something that is connecting with their emotions must be brilliant job. So I'm really, really excited to dig deeper into that. I'd like to briefly introduce myself for who doesn't know us and does know Wow Women of Worth. I'm the founder of Wow Women of Worth, was founded in 2021 during pandemic, creating cultural business bridge between UK and Italy. Being myself Italian, spending the second part of the pandemic time in Italy. So I wanted really to support women in business to have visibility, create collaborations, and why not business opportunities. And since that, our community is growing, and actually I have been helping women to promote themselves in an innovative way, which is having an impact from a social point of view, bringing the efforts of their day-to-day job, being entrepreneurs or professionals, by creating really the bond between the women belonging to the community. So this is the third year then of our Wow Walk the Talk Festival. So women that do what they say, but we not say, oh, we do what we say because we are great. No, we is a commitment with ourselves. It's like an accountability group where I say, let's do it, we can do it. So let's walk the talk. So being together, we have an annual appointment that thanks to which is we are able to account on our mission. And this year, like any other year, we have a theme. Our theme this year is I Am Human. I'm Human. We have chosen this theme because of the topic, which is a hot topic nowadays, artificial intelligence, and how is important to perform in our day-to-day job, our work. But in the meantime, saying that we are not performing as technology, which is also technology itself, not always perfect. But the fact that we have technology, we think we should operate like them, being always on point, always perfect, and always having an answer. We are human. The humans means that they have an input, but the output can be different from each of us. So that is the beauty of it. So the machine has got an input, output similar for any machine. The beauty of the human being is that there is a filter from the heart, which is our symbol in this I Am Human campaign. So thank you for the opportunity to share, first of all, the theme about I Am Human. But what I was saying, I'm very excited, is to share with our audience what you do and why you're doing what you're doing.
Yes, well, I think a lot of people had a good hard think about what they wanted to do during the pandemic. I think a lot of people, because we were all stopped, weren't we, and had to reflect on how we did what we did, and therefore, do we want to keep doing it? And I realized that I had my next solo show in me, which is me standing on stage for an hour, doing sort of theatre characters, but also sort of comedy and sketch characters and a bit of cabaret in there, stand-up sort of character work. So I actually used the time to write my next solo show. And I thought, isn't this wonderful to have some time where I was able to just focus on one thing and my creativity? because I think probably creativity is the thing that's going to distinguish human survival if they do see it as important as literacy in the education system and valued as that in society. So when I was writing my solo show, I then thought, gosh, yeah, and I've got to do all of these things. You know, when you sort of, I've done a few before and you think, oh, I must remember to do that marketing video and I must remember to do that. I'm going to have an Instagram page. And then sort of all these things, you know, this list became endless. And I thought I should write this down into a process. And then I thought, yeah, if I followed this process, this would be much less, I would have much less anxiety about doing my next show. And I just know that I've ticked everything on the list. Also, I wonder if it could be useful for other people, like creating their first solo show. Hence, I've just created a course for people to create their first solo show. And yeah, I'm launching it next week. I've got some masterclasses where people can come along and think about it, because it's a lot to do. It's not just obviously the writing the show, but it's the performing and the producing and the partnering up with people. So it's a lot to go wrong, but when it goes right, it's, you know, it's an unbelievable feeling. So yeah, so that's where I am at the moment.
I don't know, I lost you. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go. I've got you back.
Yeah. Yeah, I lost you for. So you were telling me about this solo show next week, the workshop. And then I missed you.
Oh, yes. So the workshop, it's I've got a few dates, sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and it's basically taking people through all the different elements to creating a solo show. So they learn, it's all about the mindset, which is really important, and then the creating and the partnering up with people, the performing, the producing, and then the evaluating. So, yeah, it's an amazing process, but I really do believe that it is the bit that does make us human. It's creativity, which is the most important element, I think, to feeling human. And I think when you are a creative person, if you're feeling like you're making progress with your creativity, when you've got control of it, because so many actors don't feel as if they've got control of it, because they're always waiting for the phone to ring, you know, and their agent to call them when they've got work, or waiting for a casting director to call them, or finding their own work, you know, new actors going and finding student films and unpaid work to try and get a show reel together. It's very out of control. And I think when you feel as if you are in control of your creativity, when you feel as if you're making progress, I think that's when you feel happier as a creative person. You know, when we make progress, we feel happier. So yeah, that's
I totally agree. I remember I still have the company, but I'm operating more with Wow. I used to do just marketing consultancy, and I create the process creativity, creation, and communication. So the creative person, as you said, needs to see it, so needs to have the creation. So that was the second step: creativity, creation, and then communication, because otherwise you create and nobody knows about it. You need to make people aware what you've done. So otherwise the frustration of the creative minds is that is only here, and when it's here is frustrating. You need to release it and see it like a baby that is born, and from the concept to a creation, whatever it's going to be. You're talking about creativity as an actor for the solo show, but could be applied in any kind of creative job or creative role. And that is really, really interesting. So the fact that you managed to create, especially in your industry, something like that, wow, this is impressive, fantastic.
Yeah, it's It's really exciting. I mean, it's been years that I've been studying, you know, creativity and how to be more creative and how to be more productive. And then in 2020, I set up my own business, KRC Productions, to house all my creativity. So obviously I've got my solo shows, I've got my own voiceover business, I've got my voiceover studio here. I write, so I write TV. I've got a TV drama going and a climate project, and then I'm also an actor. So it's, you know, the umbrella of your creativity. And then being a creative person and being a business person, they're two different hats. You know, you're one's left brain, one's right brain, one's more male, one's more female. And that in itself was something that I really had to understand. And because when you're in that sort of male, single focused, right, I want to complete all this, I need to do my marketing, I need to do this, I need to, your adrenaline's going and your anxiety is going, and that's sort of disrupting your hormonal balance, and therefore your digestion and your gut. And so there's a lot that, you know, if you don't remember that actually you need to be in the feminine side, the more sort of yin side, and keep the yang male drive, but keep that yin side of being able to rest, and repair and recover. And then you need to be in the feminine side. What's interesting, what I always say to people is actually you need to be in the feminine side to create before you can produce, which is the male side. Because if you try and create your show, write your show, and you produce your show at the same time, it does not work, because you're in the creative brain, the sort of feminine and the male brain, and that just doesn't, computer says no. So you've got to be in the creative, the female side first, because I mean, creativity, it's a spiritual game. It literally is. I mean, you know, we somehow call a soul down and it gets, you know, into a womb and then brought out into this planet, I mean, that is a spiritual game, creative creation. And so is creating an idea, whether it's a story, a solo show, or whether it's creating an idea for a business. So it is coming down, and it's about understanding that link between yourself as a human vessel, and the messages that do want to come through and do want to come down. And then your perspective on that is, I think, what then helps you to become original. So it's a very interesting process, creativity, and I think it should be more valued in education.
I love it. I love it because also the fact that they think, generally speaking, everybody says, yeah, is a creative, like creative people is mad off of this planet. They are not having the foot on earth, but always the head in the clouds thinking. But actually, as you said, connection, spiritual connection with the universe, first of all. And secondly, we want to give any kind of form or shape to our creativity, because as you said, it's conceived, but you need to give birth. Or when you give birth to your creativity or your idea, you are giving a sort of a shape, and that is the production bit. So the creative people is not just the ones that have fancy ideas and they are disconnected. Actually, they are the medium between the planet, so the universe, and the earth, in order to create. And I think without creativity and without creative people, this world would be boring.
For sure. They say people go to the theatre to see themselves, which is a beautiful Stella Adler quote. And I do believe it, you know, that also theatre is an X-ray of our time, because people go to the theatre because we want to understand ourselves and our emotions and our relationships more. So when we watch a storyline, in actual fact, underneath it, we're going, yeah, but I felt that. Yeah, but I haven't, you know. And so we're piecing with we come out in good theatre, a different person, and hopefully to make a positive change. And it's quite a responsibility, therefore, creating something, because you do have to, my acting coach, Larry Moss, used to say, you have to be a blank canvas as an actor. You have to do the work, the internal work. So it's not just, as some comedy can be, and I'm sure you've seen it, when it's just therapy for the comedian. They've just had something awful happen. They're like, let me tell you about this. But it's, you know, it has to have a filter of, you know, the artist has to have enough self-awareness and understanding and knowledge and skills to be able to filter that experience. And sometimes it's too early to tell a story, you know, but sometimes you have to filter it and then make sense of it, and then have your unique perspective on why that happened, and a moral to the story, which is how you become original. But it's it's not easy, but I think it's one of the most fulfilling businesses, having that sort of creative output. I think it's really important.
But do you also, with your programs, help businesses to bring in, I don't know, just asking, I don't know the details of it, but is also could be useful for entrepreneurs creating the solo show in order to bring into their business world, I don't know, I can't say a comedy or whatever, but actually helping them to perform in their real life?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a show can be anything. So, you know, a show can be a theatrical production where you come on as a character and tell stories. Or I've seen shows where someone's done a show all about astrology, or, you know, just their understanding. Or someone comes on and tells you a story about when they've had a really big experience with a family member, and it's just them talking to the audience. So it can be all forms of theatricality. So yeah, depending on how someone wanted to use it as an entrepreneur, it's definitely a format that can be used. It's just an hour slot, which is basically a talk, right? So you know, and you always have to have a beginning, middle, and an end, and so it's the same sort of process and storytelling, but it's just the way you do it. And obviously, there's more costumes and more and lighting, and a bit more razzmatazz, and it depends who's coming to see you as well, I guess, your audience, because with the solo show, the most important relationship you have with someone is well, first yourself, but then the audience, because you're having a conversation, but only you are talking. So yeah, it's a very interesting vehicle for sure.
Yeah. And for example, I mean, because of the fact that I think nowadays, especially we're talking about this topic, I am human, in the organizations where we are losing really the contacts, even with your staff. If we think about during pandemic, everybody was working remotely, and they were missing, you know, going to the office, because going to the office, it was an escape way for them to get out of the house. But now nobody wants to go back to the office. They are more comfortable staying at home, maybe because they know they have the choice or the chance to go out anyway at night, not during the working hours, but they are reluctant to go to work in the premises. So in this way, what's happening that actually for the companies, it's very, very difficult to have the growth, because not having the staff working, on the majority of the staff working from the office premises, is hard to build the team. So I think it would be fantastic also to have, I remember during the pandemic, because we had this problem, we had, at the time I was running my tax law firm, having the staff all over the world, and we imagine tax, working hard, so there is no connection from a human point of view, just delivering the work for the clients. And I said, you know what, we need to do something. We can't do a Christmas party. Let's come up with something. I had the idea to have a talent show. So each of us was preparing. So 1 month before, I said, oh, you know what? Well, they said, do we really need? So imagine all the lawyers, they didn't want to do anything related to talent show. But honest, that was amazing. Anyway, we did some crap because it was internal, so the 10 of us. But I wanted the 3 clients to be the judges. So the clients were our judges for the talent show. First of all, they got drunk because they could drink, you know, at their leisure for 1 hour and a half, 2 hours. But the great thing was fantastic, because a couple of one client particularly said, you know, this is the best show of the year, because we couldn't see any show.
Yeah.
So he said, But this shows that even the more rigid environment, like could be an office, a tax law firm, or a financial firm where you have the performance, which is the ultimate goal for the company, we managed to show within ourselves one side, the human side of ourselves, our personality, because we didn't know if someone who can play piano, another one was making magic, another one was singing, another one was dancing. It was fantastic way, because at the end of the day, acting or being out there, what is making jelly is actually the human side. That is what it really creates connection. And that's why I was asking you if your kind of clients are also organizations, because I think they should bring some fiction into their reality, because that is making more, not fun, but actually more human. Because if in the reality is something which it can be dry, the fiction, which is creativity, fun, drama, all that kind of things, they are all human elements. They're making your workplace actually more human. And I think this is what's happening in the organization nowadays. They need to realize that their staff needs to be stimulated with more creative activities, and definitely art, acting, dance, any kind of art that is connected with the human element is the way to create that bond and that connection. So I just wanted to share about the idea we got at the time, and I wanted to say, Mariana, are you sure we want to do it?
That's brilliant how people can see, because you see the lawyer or the accountant, and then suddenly you find that they play the violin or something like that. You see this person as a human, as opposed to just the label around their neck, or the tag in their email signature, and then you do relate to them. So I love it. Just I remember when I used to work in a corporate culture, and just even having a picture at the bottom of an email makes such a difference, because you realize and you remember you're talking to a human. So rather than a quick, this hasn't been done type thing, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I know you're busy. There's just as soon as you see a human face, you just make more of an effort to sort of to connect better. So I think that's a wonderful idea. It's I think people were really, really starved of theatre during the pandemic, and it's recovering, but a lot of creative artists are still in recovery mode. But it is a really, when you haven't seen art and then you see it again, you realize how important it is. I actually went to see something at the David Attenborough Centre, which is something I'll absolutely never forget, called The Shadow Whose Prey the Hunter Becomes. And it was a group of neurodiverse actors, and they were talking about a business presentation that they had to do, and they were scared of it. One of them was thinking, it's a bit presentation, there's a lot riding on it, and I'm worried because I've got a speech impediment. And someone else has said, well, I'm worried because I'm a bit slow, so I, mentally I won't be able to sort of back you up. What happens, and they were all sort of feeling their disadvantage, and in the end, they were then talking, one person in particular was talking to then Siri and was saying, oh, maybe you could help us. And then Siri was coming up with answers. And then in the end, they were getting more confidence, and this was all, seen as a great connection. And then they were saying, oh, I'm going to go and I feel better about doing the presentation now. And then Siri was saying, but you've forgotten all these other things. Yeah. And then we got to the point of, well, hang on, maybe you're not the right person to go. Maybe I should go. So Siri was saying maybe they, and then there was this sort of the evolution of technological domination. And then the actors all turned to us and they said, I've actually written it down because it was a quote I'll never forget, but I want to get it right. They said, when AI takes over human intelligence, how will people be treated? Get used to having a label around your neck. You, your husband, your children, your children's children are all going to be having an intellectual disability. And I thought that was, great art and great theatre makes you not be able to move when the curtain comes down. And then he left this brilliant pause and this this male actor who found it difficult to speak, he said very slowly but so poignantly, he said, "I think this is sinking in." And the audience were just dumbstruck, because the prejudice or the sort of slight sort of superiority or whatever that, you know, humans have felt over you know, AI, and we're in control, and, you know, Alexa's helping me in my house and I let, you know, her in and everything like this. Just the thought that, you know, been watching the Terminator movies recently, and it's like, oh yeah, they do say that's 2022. That's quite soon. That's 2029. That's 2029. That's not far away. So yeah, I just thought that was staggering, because that really, I mean, we are in a fork in the road at the moment for humans. Do we take the road where we keep being human, or do we take the road where we allow technology to be in our house listening to us? Do we allow it to be in our ears, putting Wi-Fi through our bodies, creating inflammation and disease? Do we allow it to be creating our outputs, our creativity? You know, is what we publish out into the world just going to be created from an AI machine? And it was all just, you know, you can see it. I mean, you watch sci-fi, but really great sci-fi, there's so much truth to it. And you think, gosh, these people were clever making this in the 80s and 90s. So that, I believe, and we've got 4 years, in the next 4 years, we'll have 100 years of change, they say, don't they? And that's the AI revolution. And we have to be really, really conscious, as this incredible play, The Shadow Whose Prey the Hunter Becomes, taught me. It was I so needed to hear it. And when you haven't seen art for a long time and you come out the pandemic and it's one of the first things you see, it's, you know, it's just, it was what the universe needed to show me. And I therefore have felt that it's something that I always need to share as well. So yes, creativity is the only thing really that distinguishes us between AI and a human, but obviously creativity is now being taught to AI machines, and they will get faster and faster and faster. But as I said before, without that human experience and human emotion and being able to process all of that and having a unique perspective, they won't have originality. But we do have to keep our control to be human. I really think that needs to be a very conscious, the micro decisions. I mean, obviously in Sweden, having microchips in your hand just because it's easier to get into the gym. Yeah, but that's, you know, that's quite easily then over to the social credit system in China. Like, you know, that's a quick, you know, that's a quick sort of release of your control. And I think as all good art should, art will reflect what society is just about to go through. So I think all this, how to be human and what it means to be human, will be seen now in a lot of art.
Yeah, but as you say, technology is good to support us. But if you think about everything we do, we Google. So actually, we don't stimulate our memory. We just, especially younger generation, everything. Let's check on the first thing. One was bored. Let me check on the, you know, on YouTube, on Google, and which is, I said, has to help us, but not has to replace our brain. And the fact that when you're talking about, you know, acting, first of all, you need to remember the lines. You need to remember. So it's really an exercise for your memory, for your brain. Second is connection with yourself, because you need to get into an emotional state in order to, and that is really connection with yourself. And then you're connecting with others, because people listen to you, because otherwise you do a solo show in your own bedroom. It's fine still. But better off having even a little audience to share that, because at the end of the day, it's a message you want to get across. So whatever it's going to be, your solo show, you want to get something out there, not to keep for yourself. So this kind of work itself, so stimulating your brain with the memory, connecting with yourself, which is a state, emotional state, and then move people towards you. That is powerful. So that is, I call it superpower of the human. So that is superhuman, being just themselves. And that is what is really exciting me. What you're doing for the job you're doing is not just someone on the show making someone think or laugh, whatever. Is more than that. Is a universal energy coming from you and disseminating others to create a movement.
For sure. And connection. I mean, that's what I feel is if I'm personally missing I guess I'm a solopreneur with my own business now, my creative business. You do miss, as you say, the connection, as I guess some people do miss when they don't go into an office. But do they not want to go in because they value the freedom more? Because I certainly value the freedom more and the not being controlled. I mean, I think you don't work harder than you do for yourself. So there's not anything, I'm not just sitting back and watching Netflix and going for nice long walks along the beach, but it's, I think that freedom element is really important. And yeah, being in control of your own life, because it goes past too quickly. So what are we here to do, and finding out that sort of purpose, what has our soul decided that we're meant to be doing when we come down to this planet, and how do we put that into practice, is a really important question to ask.
Yeah, I totally see the freedom element, but in the meantime, also is important to have balance, because otherwise, if you are always in your own world and you don't connect with others, actually you having your own world, which is parallel to the others. So you still need this reality check, even, from office, working 2-3 days from home, but it's so important to get the connection with others, also to improve yourself, and not just for the connection with others, but listening to others, even having a laugh. You can't laugh by yourself. It's really important, in my opinion, to be in an environment where you can share space with others, because otherwise, being totally free, sometimes you don't have discipline. And also people end up that they are in their own pajama all day long, and is only the head in the box, which is productivity is important. But as you know, you're teaching, I'm sure, productivity, but need the creative part, which is your work, or you're going to the office and talk with others. That is creative moments, because when there is an exchange, always there can be a sparkle for people that are very open-minded to, generally speaking, they are able to bring something at home which is enriching them, and then channeling into the productivity. Otherwise, only production, as you said, you are exhausted. You are not a machine. You need the moment. Instead, you need to be enlightened. And how do we do so? Work can enlighten you. People having a chat, even an argument, but still is a sparkle of creativity, could be.
I agree with you. I think that's really important. The connection and going into the office and or going into a production company as a writer and speaking to producers and meeting directors and meeting actors, it's invaluable. I do think there's a real balance, and therefore I think the pandemic showed us that there is a real need to have this time on your own, though, because I think, yes, you can go and get, for example, the brief, or you can go and find out what the production company would like you to write, but you absolutely have to be on your own to do that soul deep monk work, which is your, sort of spiritual creative practices of allowing all this creativity to come and just write it all out. And then once you've got, if you have 2 or 3 days at home working on your own, being creative with your creative, discipline as well, and making sure that you're not just you're not just sort of sitting there and writing all sorts. You have to have a process, of course, but then I think it's really valuable to then go back to the team and get feedback. That's where I think and also because sometimes your perspective can be, you've gone really down one route, but you haven't, they always say have a controlling idea and then have a counter controlling idea in any story. You have to sort of put the pro of a story, but then you have to put the con. in order to make a balanced story, because and then you sort of tie it together. So, you know, sometimes you can feel like you've put too much of yourself into it, or you can have not balanced your argument. So, and you need time away from it. You need to have this sort of download and this creativity, then check in with other people, get a bit of feedback, and then go back to it. But, you know, also it's the feedback, you have to be very careful as a writer or a creative that you don't have feedback too early, because then that can sort of taint or distort what you're trying to do. Or you know, you don't want to be talking to your idea to naysayers, or you know, Debbie Downer, or oh, I don't think we've got the budget for that, you know, that kind of person before you've created the idea. Because when you created the idea and you're like, this is going to go stratospheric, you know, that person that needs to find the budget is just told, we need to find the budget, so because this is going to be great. So I think there's a real balance that I think the pandemic brilliantly brought up for us in the work life, where we do need this time on our own, but the connection is really important, but it's about getting it at the right timing. Yeah.
Okay, my dear, I enjoy talking to you. I will talk to 4 hours, but so just last question. I'd like to know, what is then your word for 2024, which is a sort of mantra, your intention to disseminate your ripples for, you know, a movement in the world. What is your impact? You're starting with this little word.
So my word for 2024 is courage, because the root of the word courage is from cur, the heart, the Latin word, and it originated from the people used it as in to speak truthfully, to speak from the heart, not just sort of be courageous and go into a volatile situation. So it's definitely from speaking from your heart, which is what an authentic creative performer needs to do. Either you're creating your own work, it needs to come from your heart, your story, or as a performer, you're interpreting someone else's work. And therefore you have to be courageous to try, you know, with a workshop as well, you have to try all the different ways something can be done. Is this meant to be in song? Am I meant to be playing a piano at this point? And is this meant to be in mime? Do I need to do this in, you know, a character? You know, you need to be courageous to try all the different elements, and then only then do you find, oh no, this works. No, it's a performance piece or a performance art piece, or yeah. So it's courageous, and then also the reason I've chosen courage is because I'm launching this business of coaching other people to help them create their first solo show, which is tackling loads of things that I sort of don't know about yet. You know, marketing and all these click funnels and back ends of businesses, and it's like, crikey, this is a lot, isn't it? You know, normally you just go IT department, but it's like, oh, you are the IT department as the solopreneur. And I've been sort of sometimes in tears recently going, well, I can't do the IT department. But it's just like, no, you have to be the IT department, KRC, because you're a solopreneur, you're an entrepreneur. So and actually it gives you great satisfaction when you've done something. It actually means more than having just picked up the phone and got someone else to do it. So courage is
fantastic. So when I'm going to see you with this workshop, tell us more, and we can invite our WOW community to join you if it's still open, the registration.
Yes. So I can give you the link, which we can share, and it's on Wednesday next, not obviously this week.
I think it's the 13th then.
Yeah, it's Wednesday the 13th. Wednesday the 13th, Thursday the 14th, and Saturday the 16th. So the weekday is in the evening and Saturday is in the morning. And that is going to go through all the different elements of creating a show. But most importantly, it's going through the limiting beliefs that can stop people creating their first solo show and how to overcome them. And well, they can stop you having an acting career, performing career, doing anything really that you want to do with your life, apart from sort of go in and fulfill someone else's dream by working someone else's job. This is all about sort of taking control back of your own creativity and your own life and feeling progress as a human.
Fantastic. Okay, fantastic. So when we finish the live, you will comment in the comment box with the link.
Yeah, sure. I'll put links.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you very much, Katie. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thanks so much. me.
Say again?
Thanks so much for having me here.
No, pleasure. Really, really, I love your energy, and yeah, the human part of you bringing in this world, having an impact, being, you know, not fiction, because we think about acting as a fiction, but actually is one side. I think sometimes we're interpreting, which is coming out of our daily role, interpreting someone else's character is in enriching experience, and maybe we're talking next time about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, see you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Enjoy well. Bye. Bye bye.